Happy New Year 2024. I crossed the year and I'm glad that even you crossed the year. It has indeed been tough for all of us as a country. It has been all of us across all fronts, but we thank God that we crossed the year. Happy 2024. Say hi to everyone around you. At least put a smile, because we've had the best. We've had the best of our 2023. The gift of life is one treasure that is unmeasured. The gift of life is unmeasured. Just today, around this where I stay here, we lost Mzee, Mzee who is I think 104 years. Yeah, and it was some few hours to the cross of the hour, the cross of the year. I think Mzee passed on at around, it was around 10:30 or so. So the gift of life is a big treasure, and it is something you don't take for granted. Asanteni sana, and we are hoping for the best. Now, I will be very brief. I've just come here with some urgent information because I want, for better part of January, what I will do, the structure of our analysis will be more of reminding the president what the president needs to do. Even the Bible says, tell them even if they don't want. If you look at my structure for December and November, I was trying to be more punchy on our governance flow. Now, as we start the January, I know that everyone is trying to put his house in order, and that is why even this analysis, for better part of January, we will be trying to advise the president. We will try, even though I know he did not listen to us, but we will try, even if it's not very easy to advise him. Now, I want to tell you 7 deadliest cartels that William Ruto must crush in 2027. Otherwise, you'll not see any breakthrough. You must crush these cartels. Before we crush those cartels, as we cross the year this year, our first project we are doing, and I'm glad that there are some people that I saw a message that he participated in our first charity project. I think he sent me 2,000, told me, Kevin, I'm participating for the first time. I'm so much glad. We are building a house for our granny. I only have a deficit of around 70,000 to make sure that I buy the windows and the doors, and also to buy some changa for the house and pay the fundi. I'm being told I will need a chicken mesh if I'm to plaster a house that has been made through using soil. So there is a lot of work, but as so far I had a deficit of 70,000. By this time, I believe if I get around 42,000, I'll be done. Yeah, because since yesterday we had scooped, I think, around 38. Yes, so I'm looking for 40,000 today because the house is starting tomorrow. Yeah. So, and I'll not rent, I'll not relax. You'll see this video will play later. After this, I'll just head to church. And after church, I'll go to Yoma to make sure that I buy what I can buy as I wait for the doors and the windows. Those ones I might buy later. But what I have now, I might sort what I can sort. So kindly, let's participate. The number is 0710 62 78 89. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for, I think, over 100 people that have come through in a different way. Asanteni sana, and let's participate. 100 bob challenge, and any amount you can get, because I know those get 50. Even if you get 20, yeah. I got someone sent me 20 and called me telling me, yeah, I think she's also someone very old, and I was so touched. Anasema huyo mwenye unamjengea huyo ni mtu namjua. And I was so happy. Now, Treasury. 2 cartels in Treasury. The first cartel is what this article was published some time back by Paul Mwangi. There's a news strategist, and he said there is something called direct foreign commercial borrowing. Direct foreign commercial borrowing is something that no one but Treasury ever knows how much Kenya has borrowed from foreign commercial lenders, and which of these foreign loans are being paid every year. Indeed, The Kenya Debt Ledger is one of the most fluid documents, and even Parliament is never sure what the actual status of our foreign borrowing is. Money from foreign loans given by private commercial lenders is easy to steal because money is deposited in foreign accounts operated by Treasury. These accounts are not accessible even to the Auditor General, and the Audit Office has to rely on whatever disclosures the Treasury wants to make. The method of theft was alleged by the opposition in the respect to the Eurobond 2 billion, which Kenya floated a decade ago. According to the allegations, after paying pending loan and accruing commissions and fees, treasurers were left with slightly 1 billion euros, which is said to have disappeared. Auditor General asked the Treasury for money, but they said they had credited in the National Bank. Now, what Paul Mwangi is saying is foreign direct borrowing is money borrowed, like the customary way is, or rather the alternative way, is money borrowed and paid in our account here. If it lands in a consolidated bank for project X, it goes directly for that. Now, this one is not, this money is borrowed and paraded huko. Now, that means the foreign accounts are operated by only Treasury. So the cabal that operates these accounts is one clique of cartels that we must look at. We must really crash. So that is very critical aspect, because like what the writer is like what Paul Mwangi is saying is, you will never know. So even the Auditor General is at the discretion. He believes he will only work on the disclosure of the Treasury. What I don't understand, which someone can explain to me, is whether the Treasury works alone, like the president doesn't know. That's where I have my own guess. So the writer is saying there is that clique of cabal of cartels under Treasury. Number two is creative budget making in order to cater for expenses that may arise and had not been provided for by the National Assembly. This is the approval of the supplementary estimates. Do President know that we passed budget in June, and July, which is a month later, we had already preempted some budget shocks and were crafting supplementary estimates? I think that is not something new to him. That is something he must have known, and that is what this writer is flagging, that the supplementary estimates that we make is another way where public funds are actually swindled. Now they're saying the amount of money that Treasury can spend this way is up to 10% of the budget. Now, this power has always provided avenue for the Treasury and the political leadership to spend as they wish. What Treasury does is to hide huge amounts of money in places where it will never be used. For instance, expenses are overfunded, projects proposed and provided for, and non-priority agencies generously financed. After the budget was passed, the Treasury goes back and shaves off these over-provisions, allocate the money as per the wishes of the political leadership or the Treasury operatives. This is something that is very deep, and I want to explain, I want to at least spend some few minutes and explain this. What happens, we have supplementary estimates. Now, when we are doing budgeting, unaweza pata that parastatal X has been given a huge amount of money, this, that they are floating, that they are going to run some projects. Now, for the clique of the people at the Treasury, they know very well that those projects are non-existent. They're just hot air. They're not going to be implemented. So money is set up there. After it is done, after the allocation is done, the money is rerouted back to them. That's option one. Number two is you budget and there is a clause, and I think this should be relooked. 2024 here, President Uhuru look at this. There is I think it's Article 222, if I'm not wrong, that says you can spend up to 10% of the budget estimates. For example, our budget is at 3.6 trillion. That's what we budgeted for this year. So that means you can, ministries and departments and different even state houses are allowed to spend 10%, at least 10% to a level of 10% of the budget that was allocated for them. Now, this is an avenue that is used to swindle money. Money is used, then they will go to parliament for appropriation. The moment they go back to parliament for appropriation, that appropriation bill will pass because they shall have even used the money that they used to bribe the MPs. And the MPs will not ask many questions. So I think we should look at two things. Foreign borrowing, because it is concentrated and domiciled at treasury, it doesn't have the control of other players, other outside players. That should be looked. Number two is the cabal that uses the Article 222 to spend the maximum of 10% of the budget estimates under the supplementary estimates. Now, so that they come back, I think it's different supplementary estimate. They will spend, then come back and start now sending the appropriation bill to the parliament. Number two, independent power producers. Independent power producers, they have largely been blamed as this is the cabal behind the high electricity costs. This is the cabal that has actually captured the state for centuries. And let's see what the writer is saying. In mid-1990s, the attention was turned away. The commercial independent power producers who use diesel generators to provide power to the national grid. These private investments came about when Kenya woke up one day to be told that water in the Seven Forks Dam had all ran out and shortage of electricity followed. Private investors were quickly contracted to set up diesel generators and cater for the shortfall. According to the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Kenya's total hydropower capacity, the potential for small, mini and micro critics believe will still do the water and deliberately drain and create energy crisis. Politically connected investors were granted licenses as independent power producers, and since then they have had a strange hold on electricity sector in Kenya. The complaints have been raised about skewed contractual terms in Kenya power purchase agreements. That's something about this, and this did not start with William Ruto, and that is why I'm asking you if you mean well. This is a sector. You know, we've had 4 blackouts in the country. These numbers count. We've had 4 blackouts in the country. We have independent power producers. There are two things. Number one, they are using outdated generators that use diesel to produce power. These people create a crisis. Number two, the power purchase agreements are very exploitative and very ridiculous. There was some time, I think some few months before Uhuru Kenyatta left power, where there were some independent power producers that had lease agreements running in 30 years or 20 years. And I don't know what happened, because there are very stringent conditions of revoking those licenses. So these are a cabal of people that I don't know how they maneuvered their way. They got very strange contracts, ridiculously long contracts. So you wonder, these people are using old generators. These people are selling power to Kenya Power at very high prices, and it is very intentional, because politically connected people are actually the people that are importing, are actually the people that are in that sector. So they sell power to us at very high prices, but they are untouchable because they are politically connected. A crisis was created that the dams are no longer enough and the dams can no longer provide electricity. So the IPPs, independent power producers, I think we need to do something. William Ruto must crack the whip there. Otherwise, we are still going to have problems of electricity. Number 3, the second cabal is importers of petroleum products. I don't need to refer to this, because this, for better part of 2023, for those who have been following this podcast, I think I am one analyst, and I'm proud of that have been consistent on G to G. How have we created cartels? The first way to break the chains of cartel in this sector is to revoke the G to G. Initially, we used to have open tendering. so that the oil marketing companies in the country will do their own independent bidding across the world, and the person that will get oil anywhere at a better price will be allowed to import on behalf of the others, then he sells to others. So it used to be done monthly. So that is what happened. Now, yes, it used to have its own demerits and merits, because what happened is, by the time Uhuru Kenyatta introduced subsidies, they were told to import, and those subsidies, the money for the subsidies had not been paid. So what they did, they created artificial shortage. And when they create artificial shortage, is that they're in control of the oil. So they keep the oil, they create the shortage, so that they compel the government to pay their subsidies. Now, that is what used to happen, but the Kenya Kwanza administration came out and explained it differently, saying that subsidies is what affected. No, is what has affected the oil, that it never worked. Not that it never worked. It worked. The only thing that it used to be, payment used to be delayed, and that is where there was oil shortage. So, Ruto, in his own rational thought of trying to look at this, he brought in G2G. Now, G2G, 3 companies were given tenders to import oil on behalf of the other 96 oil marketing companies, so that the other 96 oil marketing companies buy from them. We have created the 3 cartels. They control it, the others buy. We've also created a very straight, rigid line where we cannot benefit from the price of oil that is changing. And that is why people have been asking, why is the oil prices changing in other countries and Kenya is stagnant? Is because of that. So we need to look at it, and the best way to do it, is to ensure that we revoke the G2G. Number 3, allotment of public land. This is what it says. The system of allocation of public land is the oldest cartel in Kenya. It started in 1984, when a cartel of European governments came together at Berlin and shared Africa. Now they're saying, yes, the Queen Victoria of England then started granting titles to land in Kenya. Commercial ventures like British Imperial and Royal Charters then allocated them all the land they could exploit in the territory. Later, the members of British finally, now, Royal Cartel continued operating through the reigns of King, the total complete. Now, the land in the country as per his wishes. Anyone who wanted a title in land in Kenya had to be a good terms with governor, who had total discretion of the land. Now, what has happened here is, land is given, especially in Nairobi. Someone do not have a title deed, but it gives you allotment later, so that you set up there, you set up that structure there. Then after some time, the real owner of the land comes up and says, this land belongs to me. I bought it. Someone comes up with the title deed, and the cabal works around treasury. Through that, people lose the investments. And I believe that that should not be it. The second bit, apart from the guys in the allotment, is that literal land grabbing. These cartels sell unsurveyed land or unutilized private land to members of the public, urges them to construct buildings on the land, settle, and goons. Other instances, goons are sent to invade private property and destroy everything on the land. That is, commoners, surveyors subdivide the land. Estate agents sell the new parcels through lawyers who share the money around the conspirators. I've seen people in the Mavoko demolition and even some other land, contiguous land, talking about, what had happened. It's actually a case of land grabbing, starting from the lawyers to those agents to those everyone. And let me say, even the buyers do know that this land is, people know the price of land in this country. You know what a 50 by 80 goes, 100 by 50 goes at in Nairobi. Now, you can get a good deal that you know very well. This is a good deal, but hapa hata naweza karangwa. So that land grabbing cartel, and that is a very bad cartel because it spreads across the country. Importation of agricultural products. Although Kenyans' agricultural produce even independence, this team are given licenses to import agricultural products. These fellows, they're given duty free. to import so that they can reduce the prices of food products. That is normally the intention. And it happened this year. We gave licenses for importation of duty-free maize and duty-free grains and duty-free edible oil. What turned out was a scheme that was supposed to help us manage so that we can manage our prices, we can manage the prices, the costs, did not yield that fruit. And in fact, it turned out as we just exempted people from the duty, but they never exempted the buyer from the duty, and the price of oil never went down, even despite of edible oil being licenses being given to be imported duty free. So this cabal of people, according to Kenya's second national development plan, agriculture was the most important sector of the economy, but the quarters of the population recorded a low input. The poverty reduction strategy paper for the period 2001-2004 identified agricultural low productivity as a way of causing it. Now, there is something that happened, and I want to give credit to William Ruto in the agricultural aspect, especially on the fertilizer. Even though not many farmers have received it, I saw a registration index, an absorption index report that I think was released on 28th, and was talking about breakdown of counties, Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Nakuru, and how they've received. But at least there is a chain that the president has broke down. There's a chain of people that used to get it. The fertilizer used to be there and that people don't get it. So the cartels in agriculture that it needs to break are two. Number one, the people that are given licenses to import agricultural products in the country. For example, the people that are given licenses to import maize, import what, import rice, import oil. But when those things arrive here, when those products arrive here, they're not exempted. They don't exempt the buyer from the tax. So these are fellows that do not help the government, because as much as the government give them duty free to import, they come here and sell at a very high prices, or even they go there and buy substandard. There have been reports of what was imported to the country is actually substandard. Is not what was actually expected. So this team needs to be crushed. That team needs to be crushed, and President Ruto must hold his hands on deck. Number three, or the last one, procurement of public goods and services. Oh my goodness. Procurement, tenderpreneurs. These are the fellows that ensure they work to ensure that there is something called service delivery. Public procurement. Hey, they give tenders to their cronies who give kickbacks, and the cronies are not under any obligation to give us even the products. Leave alone even that. At the procurement table, the rule should be, the natural law should be that if someone can do this land, then can do this road at the required standard at a lower cost, then we need to give that tender to that person. But what do? We must make sure that we give it to the highest bidder, the person that wants to build it at 100 billions, so that that person can give us kickbacks. And you know what will happen? The same person that was, if a road was constructed using 100 million, we give it to 100 million. Venye tulikuja kwa table, mtu alisema anaweza itengeneza na 50 million. So we give the tender to the 100 million person. He will subcontract the 50 million guy to do the work. Then for him, he will just be resting in the hotels with the 100 million and paying kickbacks to politicians. In the long run, we don't have 100 million to do that road. So what will happen? The road will stall in the middle, because otherwise government only had 50 million. But we gave 100 million knowing that we'll go to treasury to add us some money. The treasury says we don't have that money. So look at how that cabal works. Those cartels must be crushed, and William Ruto must crack the whip on the procurement of goods and services. I'm in these areas, even in the counties, I'm seeing people working in those areas very rich, and you wonder, these are my classmates, what happened? That is what is happening. William Ruto, crack the whip. That was my message for New Year. That is the only video that I give. That is my message for you for the New Year. Thank you.
Hello Team Bold, I just want to show you what so far we have done. I am in Madiany, Uyoma. Yeah, so I told you we wanted to make sure that Shosh House is done. So the first phase was making sure that we have a couple of few stuff here. So like we've managed to buy the iron sheets. These are 25 iron sheets that we've got so far. Then these are the iron sheets. Then this is the nails. So I just want to show you. Yeah, these are the nails, both for the roofing nails and the other one for building. Then these are called roofing what? The roofing wood, roofing poles. Yes, my friend is telling me they're called roofing poles. Yeah, so these are also pieces of roofing poles. Now, if you look at the other end, yes, Shosh is not here. We might not tell you, but now this is the house that we wanted to change. So on this other end, we also have some other poles that we are bringing up. It's in the process. So huku wanaleta za kuweka kwa walls. Yeah, so I'm just so happy. I'm so glad we have managed a bit of first phase, and I want to say a big thank you to my good friend Honorable Maina Njenga. Yeah, Honorable Maina Njenga also extended my support towards this. This is something that was so passionate. I really wanted to ensure that before I go back to Nairobi, this house is here. So yeah, so I'm just so glad, so happy that we are doing it. I know a bit of what is remaining, which will be for tomorrow and Tare first, is on the fundi and the wall. Lazima to buy some changa for the walls, so that is something pending. And yeah, paying fundi and the walls and the door and the windows. So on Monday, on Monday, Tare first, I should be able to buy the windows and the door, so that fundis wakianza, fundi moja atafanya hizi kazi zote, and I'll be so glad. So let's continue participating in the challenge, and I'm so happy. I said that I want us to take these blessings as we cross over to 2024. My whole team, Bold family, let's take up these blessings from Shosh as we go back to our other activities. Asanteni sana.